I went from a broke college kid to $100 million by 30, and I did it over the last 10 years by starting, failing, pivoting until I finally found the right business vehicle. I made $5 million in a single month, lost $2 million in a single year, and had to completely restart my life multiple times. In this video, I'm gonna walk you through a full timeline of my life, which I've never done before, and show you the lessons that I've learned over the last decade. Chapter 1 is my first hustle. I was born an entrepreneur. When I was just 8 years old, my mom had a retail store and I was working in that retail store. I was working the cash register, I was stacking shelves, I was using a Swiss Army knife to cut up the boxes, and my parents could tell that I was very entrepreneurial. As I got older, I started selling stuff at school. I started a gambling business at school, which eventually got shut down. I started selling soda at school. I started importing everything that people were buying at Zoomies and Hot Topic. I started ordering it from China, getting it in bulk, putting it in my backpack, and selling it at school for half the price. And from all these different hustles and all the different ways that I made money as a kid from selling stuff, I realized that money comes from solving problems. And one of the biggest problems and probably easiest problems that I could possibly solve was taking something that already had demand and just selling it for cheaper. I don't know if you guys remember, but they had these like marijuana socks. They had these socks, Huff socks, and these Huff socks were selling for 30 bucks at Zoomies. And I would import them from China for 4 bucks and I would sell them for 10 bucks. And people would buy them left and right because they didn't want to go to their parents and ask for 30 bucks, but 10 bucks or 5 bucks was their lunch money. And so instead of eating lunch that day, they would buy my socks. And from 8 years old all the way up to 20, I tried tons of different companies, tons of different businesses. I started mobile apps, the import-export, the Amazon FBA. I did it all. And my main goal was to figure out a way that I could make money so I didn't have to get a job after graduating from college. That was literally my number one objective, was how do I find a business that's gonna make me enough money so I don't have to get a job? And my parents won't make me get a job or move in with them because I'm making so much freaking money. And that brings me to number 2, which is my college graduation. So luckily, during college, I found real estate and real estate investing. My brother took my dad and I to a real estate seminar. We learned about flipping houses, apartment buildings, wholesaling, you name it. We learned it in this 3-day seminar. It was in person in California. And from that, I started looking at deals in California, wholesaling, single family homes, multifamily. We started running the numbers. My dad was working full time. My brother was a realtor in California. He's younger than me. And I was going to graduate college in around a year and a half. For me, the clock was already ticking, as you can probably imagine. I was like, I need to fucking figure something out so I don't have to work after college. And so I started networking my ass off in and around LA, and I realized that people in LA were just not having success investing in LA or in California in general. But there was 1 or 2 people that were investing out of state. They were investing in the Midwest. They were buying houses, renovating them, renting them out, getting a property manager, then either selling them or holding them. And I would start to take these people to coffee and lunch every couple of weeks because I really wanted to pick their brain of how the hell they did it. I ended up buying our first house a couple months before graduating from college. Bought a house in Memphis, Tennessee. It was 40,000 bucks. My dad had some money saved up. Me, my dad, and my brother were all involved in this business. We bought the house, renovated it, rented it out, and then refinanced it, pulled the money out, paid back my dad, and I was graduating like the next month or something. And I go to my dad and I say, hey, I think we got this. I'm gonna keep doing this. My rent at the time was $800 a month to live in LA, so it was barely anything. I was like, hey, I think the cash flow is gonna like cover this rent or pretty damn near close to it. So let me just figure this business out. Let me focus on it full time before you make me go and get a job. Again, he wasn't gonna probably make me get a job, but I knew it was coming. I graduated in May 2017. Around 12 months later, we had done 8 deals in our first year, all with our own money, just keep on recycling the cash that we had. But then we ran out of money. Once we bought those 8 houses, we didn't have enough cash flow coming in. My dad was still working his job, so we had some cash coming in slowly, but it wasn't enough money to buy multiple deals every single month, which is what we wanted to do. So what we ended up doing was selling these properties as turnkey rentals. And this is really when things kind of lit up, because then I was like, oh shit, we can buy the house, renovate it, rent it out, and sell it all within 4 months. We can make $10,000, $20,000 in profit, and we can use that money to keep on growing the business. Aha, this is a real business opportunity. Instead of growing a portfolio, we can make a much higher return on our money by just buying the houses and selling them in 3, 4, 5 months, so long as we can find the buyers. But luckily in California, there was a ton of people that wanted to invest in real estate in the Midwest, but didn't know where to get started. And we coined this term the turnkey fix and flip. Buy the house, renovate it, rent it out, and then sell it to a turnkey buyer. It wasn't glamorous at all, but it was printing way more money than my friends in LA were doing. They would buy a house a year, that house would make 100,000 bucks in profit, and I was doing multiple deals every single month, making 10 to 20,000. I was doing 50 houses at a time in 5, 6 different cities. So I had split up my risk. I could also always refinance those houses and pull the money out. So I didn't have to sell the house if I didn't want to. If I wanted to hold some, I could do that as well. So my business model was much lower risk and much higher profit. And it also scaled a hell of a lot better because there wasn't as much competition as there was in California as there was in the Midwest. And after a couple years of doing that, I hit my first $1 million liquid in my bank bank account from doing the turnkey fix and flip model. Chapter 3 is ceiling number 1. So with this business, which sounds probably fantastic to you right now, I eventually hit a ceiling. I scaled up the business, as any entrepreneur would, to the moon, as much as I possibly could. I was like, we need to do more deals, more deals, more deals, more deals. We started hiring people. We grew a team to 25 employees, buying 50 houses and selling 50 houses in a single month. I think our biggest month was like 96 transactions. It was insane, the amount of deals and the amount of volume that we were doing from this business. And I remember looking at the P&L with my dad and being like, what? That's it? That doesn't make any sense. How did we make less money than me, you, and my brother doing 10 houses in a year, 20 houses in a year? It doesn't make any sense. And looking back on it, it actually does make sense, because flipping houses is a marketplace, right? And a marketplace always has a margin. And the margin on flipping houses is 15%, right? If you do a million houses a year, do you get a better margin? No, it doesn't matter who you are, how much volume you do. You don't get a better deal just because you're a big boy, right? If you're Nike and you make 1,000,000 shoes versus 100 shoes, yeah, your cost of goods goes down because you're making orders and you have economies of scale, but it doesn't work like that with a real estate business. So we were making a 15% margin when we had no overhead, but as we had overhead, our margins went from 15% down to 5%, which means we had to do 3 times the amount of deals to even just make the same amount of money. And this is a huge lesson for me because I was so driven by the revenue number, by making $5 million in a single month. I was so driven by getting to that number as quick as I possibly could, or $10 million a month, right? And revenue numbers don't go into your bank account. What goes into your bank account is profit. And I'm proud of myself for pushing as hard as I could and scaling the business literally to its cap. But what I then realized was revenue doesn't matter, profit does. And sometimes you can't scale a certain business in a certain industry to the moon. So this is ceiling number 1 that I hit in my life. And me and my dad sat down, looked at that P&L, and we knew we had to do something different. But what the hell would we do? Chapter 4 is changing vehicles. So we really had 2 choices. 1, we can keep going, right? Maybe like bring the business down a little bit, keep running the business, or 2, just completely kill the business and try something completely new and find a business vehicle that wouldn't have as low of a ceiling, something we can blow past the ceiling and keep on going to scale. And what we chose to do at that time was just completely kill the business. We brought it from 50 deals a month down to 3 deals a month, and we actually changed the business to a service business. So we became a marketing company for house flippers and people who learned this turnkey fix and flip model from us, and they started listing their houses for sale on our website, martelturnkey.com. We would vet the house, make sure it was legit, make sure they did the right renovations, make sure there was a good property manager in place, and we would sell those properties on our website. So then we just had salespeople as employees. We had people who were letting people in the door and then helping those clients actually find a house. And now our margin went up from 15% to 100% or 90% margin. It was a super, super high margin business, and it wasn't gonna make as much money, but it still could be a good cash cow, and we had built a brand and reputation. So that's the pivot we made to Martel Turnkey. Now that I wasn't focusing on the business, what the hell would I do? What I decided to do was sell the education. I was gonna tell people about my story, how I went from 0 to 650 house flips, how I flipped 50 houses in a single month, and how they could do it too using my turnkey fix and flip model. And this is when flipsystem.com was born, and that company is still around today. We help people buy houses, renovate them, rent them out, and sell them. They get to use our teams on the ground, financing, lenders, property management company, everything that they need in order to be successful investing in real estate. We help them do it. And the great thing about this business is that we got paid up front. We didn't have to wait 6 months to get paid to sell the house to get paid. People paid us up front for our education. The margins were way higher. Instead of 15%, we were at 75% margins. And I also had a ton of people asking me over the last 5-6 years, how the hell did I do it? How do I find a team? How do I find the houses? How do I get the financing? So I had all this built up momentum. I knew it was something that people wanted. Chapter 5 is ceiling number 2. So we scaled up this business in around 12 months from 0 to $1.2 million in a single month. Our profits were 20 to 30%, so we were still taking home a lot of money. And with that money, I hired the best people that I possibly could. I hired the director of marketing from Gary Vaynerchuk. I hired people from Fortune Builders, which was one of the biggest education companies in the real estate space at the time. I hired all of their top people, their events people, their director of customer success, some of their customer success reps. I hired sales reps and director of sales from Cole Gordon. I mean, I had like the best team, the power team. And I was like, there's no fucking way we don't scale this thing up to $5-10 million in a month. month. And that was just the top level people we hired. We had around 60 employees at the time once we hit $1.2 million in a month. And from $1.2 million in a single month, it was just a trending downhill slope. The sales slowed, the salespeople close rates went down, marketing costs went up, competition went up. New companies could kind of just start their own real estate education business with no reviews, and they would beat us because we had some 1-star reviews and then we had 1,000 5-star reviews. But because we had those 5 1-star reviews, they didn't want to buy from us. But a new brand with a new face with no reviews was having more success, and they could cut our costs down. And so it just was a really, really tough business to maintain at that level over $1 million in a month. And it wasn't just me. There was a lot of people in this space, real estate education, that were also struggling at the time. And while this business was going down, we had to let people go because we just couldn't figure out the sales and the marketing, and there was just so much clutter and noise at the time. And while it was going down, we had another decision to make. Should we scale this business back up? Do we enjoy it? Do we think that it has a higher ceiling than the $1.2 million that we got it to? Or do we want to change the business vehicle that we're in? Is there a better vehicle that could get us to our end goal, which our end goal would be to be a billionaire? And this one took us a long time to figure out what the hell do we do next. Chapter 6 is starting the end game. This next big jump took us a lot of time to figure out because we did like what the education business did for us, but we also didn't enjoy the process of running an education company, dealing with consumers and people who, you ask for a lot of money up front. They're supposed to take this material and go and do things themselves. There's just so many challenges dealing with consumers, especially in the education space, when a lot of people are lazy and they don't want to do anything and they just want money to show up in their bank account, which don't we all? So then we started thinking, what is a way that people could just invest in us? What if we did the deals? What if we went and bought the thing and people invested in us, and then we would run the show? And then we wouldn't need all the staff and support. We wouldn't need a sales team because it wasn't really a sale, because we weren't asking for money up front. What are some of the billionaires doing? How do billionaires in real estate actually create insane amounts of wealth? Looking at the billionaire list, 66% of billionaires come from real estate and private equity. Well, maybe what kind of model do they run? And we started doing deep research on these billionaires and how they actually got to their billionaire status. And there was a very similar pattern over and over and over and over again. These people raised mass amounts of money and then either invested in private equity or real estate or both. And I was like, well, I know how to do that. We bought apartment buildings before. We bought single family homes before. Some of these funds, some of these billionaires even bought a ton of single family houses and did exactly what I was doing, but they just did it at a much larger scale with other people's money. And that's when the gears started turning, like maybe we could change the business model and we could be in a fund business model that has recurring revenue. You get paid up front, you get paid at the exit, and you have people invest with you, and you actually do a profit share, which was our #1 request from people who wanted to join Flip System. They wanted to have some sort of profit share and for us to do the deals together and split the profits. So then my dad and I looked at each other and said, holy shit, we should start a real estate fund. We should buy single family houses or multifamily apartment buildings in the places that we know, in the cities that we know, where we know how to operate and we have good people on the ground there. And that's exactly what we did. And that's when Red Brick Equity was started. Now we have a fund. Accredited investors can go and invest in that fund. If you want to learn more about that and you are accredited, click the link down below, top of the description. We'd love to share with you more information about what we're doing there and how you can partner along with us. So that's a real story of how I went from 0 to $100 million by 30 years old. Started off by really just selling stuff, importing stuff, trying a ton of different stuff from 8 years old to 20. Then once I turned 20, I started investing in real estate and buying single family houses with me and my family. That led us to flipping an insane amount of deals and hitting ceiling #1 with the house flipping business. Then we transitioned to the education business and we scaled that up all the way until we hit that ceiling. And then I realized that I needed the biggest vehicle of them all. And I started studying the billionaires to figure out what the hell did they do to get there. And they all did it with private equity. And so I started my own private equity company that invests in real estate and maybe businesses into the future. If you want to learn more about my story, make sure to like and subscribe. I'm going to be posting more videos about this. Comment down below one of your key takeaways and make sure to click the link down below, top of the description. I'll see you on the next one.